If you're waiting for your green card or planning your next big move to the United States, the Visa Bulletin is more than just numbers. It's your future. Every month, a single update can speed up your dream, push it further away, or even change your entire immigration strategy. So what exactly changed this month, and what does it mean for you and your family? Let's break it all down step by step. One update can change everything for your immigration journey. You might wake up one morning to discover that your priority date has finally become current, opening the door for your green card application. Or maybe you check the new bulletin and realize that your wait time has been pushed back months or even years. That's the emotional roller coaster the Visa Bulletin brings every single month. And today, we're not just going to read the numbers. We're going to interpret them, explain them, and help you understand what they mean for your future. This month's Visa Bulletin brought important shifts across both family-based and employment-based categories. Some countries saw progress. Others saw the dreaded retrogression. And for many people, the waiting game continues. But here's the good news. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what changed, why it changed, and what you can do about it. So let's start from the basics before we dive into this month's updates. Most people hear the term Visa Bulletin and immediately think of endless charts filled with confusing numbers and dates. But at its core, the Visa Bulletin is simply the monthly update released by the U.S. Department of State that tells immigrants where they stand in line. Think of it as a ticket system at a busy bakery. You've already got your number, but until the baker calls it, you can't step up and get served. The Visa Bulletin is that now serving board for immigration. There are two key parts you need to know. First, the final action dates. These dates tell you when visas can actually be issued. If your priority date, the date your petition was filed, is earlier than the one shown, congratulations, you can finally move forward. Second, the dates for filing. These are a bit more flexible. They let you submit your green card application paperwork earlier, even if the final visa isn't ready yet. This helps USCIS plan ahead, but it also gives you some benefits like work authorization and travel permits while you wait for the green card itself. Why does this matter so much? Because for hundreds of thousands of families and workers, the Visa Bulletin is the only signpost that tells them how much longer they must wait. Without it, you'd have no sense of progress. With it, you can track your place in line, and that line is long. So long that for certain categories, people have been waiting not years, but decades. So what changed this month? Let's take a close look. In the family-based categories, we saw small but meaningful advances in certain groups, while others remained stubbornly frozen. For example, the F2A category, spouses and children of permanent residents, remained current for most countries, which means if you're in that category, you can move forward without delay. But the F1 category, unmarried sons and daughters of U.S. citizens, moved ahead only slightly, and in some countries, not at all. The F3 and F4 categories, which cover married children and siblings of U.S. citizens, continue to face some of the heaviest backlogs, with only minimal forward movement. For employment-based categories, the picture was more mixed. EB1, for individuals with extraordinary ability or multinational executives, stayed current for most of the world, but India and China continue to face cutoff dates due to high demand. EB2, covering advanced degree professionals, moved forward slightly for some countries but showed retrogression for India, pushing back timelines for countless skilled workers. EB3, for skilled workers and professionals, also saw mixed results. Some forward momentum in rest of the world, but backlogs deepened for Indian and Chinese applicants. And then there's EB5, the Immigrant Investor Program. This category remains current for many, but in certain regional center categories tied to specific countries, there are delays. For applicants from Mexico and the Philippines, the changes were less dramatic, but still important. Family-based categories for Mexico continue to move painfully slowly due to decades of pent-up demand. For the Philippines, certain categories advanced slightly, but the long waits remain daunting. In short, this month brought small wins for some, frustration for others, and a reminder that the system is unpredictable at best. Now let's go deeper into the family-based categories because this is where millions of people are waiting. F1, the category for unmarried adult children of U.S. citizens, advanced by a few weeks for some countries, but remains badly backlogged, especially for Mexico and the Philippines, where wait times stretch more than a decade. Imagine being a parent who filed for your child when they were in their early 20s, and by the time the visa is available, your child is well into their 30s. That's the reality many families face. F2A, as I mentioned earlier, is the bright spot. Spouses and young children of permanent residents remain current, which means green cards are available without delay. This has been the case for some time, and it reflects the priority the U.S. places on uniting nuclear families. F2B, unmarried adult children of permanent residents, also saw minor movement forward, but the backlog is still long. Again, Mexico and the Philippines face the harshest waits. F3, for married children of U.S. citizens, and F4, for siblings of U.S. citizens, remain some of the slowest moving categories of all. The sheer number of petitions filed, combined with limited visa numbers, means these categories often move by only a few weeks, or even just days, each month. For many families, it feels like watching the calendar creep forward in slow motion. So what should people in these categories expect? Sadly, more of the same. Incremental progress, occasional retrogressions, and a wait that can last years or decades depending on your country of origin. Now let's turn to employment-based categories, which are equally critical. EB1 is usually the fastest moving because it's reserved for individuals at the very top of their fields. Think Nobel Prize winners, renowned professors, or multinational executives. For most of the world, EB1 remains current, meaning no backlog. But for India and China, the story is different. High demand has forced cutoff dates, and this month's bulletin reflects that. Applicants from these countries may still face years of waiting, even in the highest preference category. EB2, covering professionals with advanced degrees, is one of the most popular categories, and one of the most backlogged. For countries other than India and China, movement was small but positive. For India, however, EB2 retrogressed, pushing applicants further back in line. For Chinese nationals, the backlog remains significant, though not as severe as India's. EB3, the category for skilled workers, professionals, and even some unskilled workers, continues to see heavy demand. For the rest of the world, there was some positive movement. But for India and China, cutoff dates mean years of waiting. What's especially frustrating here is that sometimes EB3 moves faster than EB2, creating strange situations where applicants downgrade categories to take advantage of earlier dates. EB4 for certain special immigrants like religious workers has also seen retrogression due to oversubscription. And EB5, the investor visa category, is mostly current, but with certain exceptions for high-demand countries where investors must still wait. For employers trying to sponsor talent, this creates enormous challenges. A company may want to hire a skilled engineer today, but because of visa backlogs, that engineer might not be able to secure a green card for 10 years. That's not just frustrating for individuals. It's a drag on the economy. So why did these changes happen? The answer lies in the rules that govern visa allocation. Each year, there's a fixed number of immigrant visas available, about 226,000 for family-based categories, and 140,000 for employment-based categories. On top of that, no single country can receive more than 7% of the total in a given category. That's why countries with high demand, India, China, Mexico, and the Philippines, face such long waits. Sometimes unused visas from one category spill over into another. For example, if family-based visas aren't fully used, the extras can go to employment-based categories and vice versa. But that process is unpredictable, and it depends on demand across the entire system. Policy changes also matter. When the government tightens or loosens rules, it affects how many applications get filed and approved. COVID-19 disruptions, consulate closures, and staffing shortages created huge backlogs, and the system is still recovering. On top of that, as the US economy shifts, demand for certain categories like EB2 and EB3 rises or falls, creating bottlenecks. So what does all of this mean for applicants? If you're already in line, this month's bulletin may give you good news, or it may test your patience further. For some, like those in F2A or EB1 outside India and China, the door is wide open. For others, especially in EB2 India or family-based categories for Mexico and the Philippines, the door feels barely cracked. If you're just starting the process, the Visa Bulletin is a reminder to plan strategically. Retrogression is always a risk. Your date might be current today, but if demand surges, it could move backward next month. That's why filing as soon as you're eligible is so critical, because every month counts. At the same time, the Visa Bulletin creates opportunities. For example, when the dates for filing chart is open, you can submit your application earlier, gaining work permits and travel authorization even if your green card is years away. Some applicants also explore switching categories, say from EB2 to EB3, if it helps them move faster. But these strategies come with risks, and it's important to seek legal guidance before making big decisions.